what is Women's Super League, right? It's the top flight of women's football in England, and it is a fully professional league with 12 teams. Seasons taking place from September to May each year, and this is going to be the 12th edition of it.
Yeah, so it's just 2 years older than the NWSL. We know that we're celebrating the 10th year of that in the States. How it works, it's similar to the men's side, honestly, in England and how they play. So each of the 12 teams, they play their opponents both home and away between September and May. And the top two teams at the end of the year, the top three teams, it was recently expanded to the top three teams in the Super League, qualify for the UEFA Women's Champions League. So that is the golden nugget. That's where these teams want to be. It's another league that these teams can get into. Meanwhile, the bottom place team is relegated to the FA Women's Championship. So that is just below the Women's Super League. And then meanwhile, one team from the championship is promoted to the Super League each year. So last year, Birmingham City were relegated in the Super League. They finished the year with 11 points. They've been in the Super League since 2011. First time that Birmingham City has been relegated, but they are out this year. We get Liverpool back into the Women's Super League. They were promoted from the championship last year. So now we've got our 12 teams to run through that will be in this year's edition of the Super League.
I'm hyped for that. I think in this part of the 101, I think sort of highlighting that's probably one of the key differences, right? I think in terms of like Women's Super League compared to NWSL, and we chat a little bit about this as well with Sophie. So please stay tuned for that episode. But talking about how every single year there's a bottom place team that is relegated, and then a top team from the champions to come on up essentially.
Mhm.
So you see a difference, year to year sometimes, depending, I think, on the season, which makes for an interesting 12 team race, in the next following season. So for this upcoming season, let's take a look at all the 12 teams that are going to be involved. It's going to be Chelsea, Arsenal 1 and 2, number 3 Manchester City, number 4 Manchester United, number 5 Tottenham, number 6 West Ham, and number 7 was Brighton and Hargrove. Number 8 was Reading. Number 9 was Aston Villa. Everton, Leicester City, Birmingham City was the table for last year, and it's a little bit different this year. So with Chelsea and Arsenal going 1 and 2, Manchester City, Man United, Tottenham Hotspur, West Ham United, Brighton and Hove Albion, Reading, Aston Villa, excuse me. It's the Spanish speaking side of my brain tuning in, y'all. It's going to happen. I'm going to just apologize for it now as the season kicks off. Aston Villa finishing 9th place, Everton, Leicester City, excuse me, and Liverpool, the newly promoted women's champions winners. And it's going to be their first time back in the WSL since 2020. All right, let's talk about some of the top players to watch in Women's Super League. We're just going to start at the top with winners, right? Chelsea players. Sam Kerr, maybe a player that folks are familiar with. If not, let's fill you in really quickly. Sam Kerr, repping Chelsea FC, was the top goal scorer in the 2021 and 2022 season with 20 goals. And you might have some familiarity with this player. She's an Australian international, has competed on the international stage with the Matildas for several years, but has also spent a lot of time in NWSL. So fans of the NWSL will get to be reintroduced via Paramount Plus, quite frankly, to Sam Kerr. She had spent time in the NWSL in its inaugural season all the way through to 2019, split her time between 3 clubs, the Western New York Flash from 2013 to 14, then with former Gotham FC side Sky Blue FC from 2015 to 2017, and then finally with the Chicago Red Stars from 2018 to 2019. And she pretty much was just racking up golden boot awards during her time in NWSL. And then it turns out she just went to another league and just has kept scoring ever since.
It's literally Sam Kerr scoring goals. Like that's just the full name. Sam scoring goals Kerr. Truly a fantastic player. She won 3 golden boots in the NWSL. She NWSL MVP, just like running the NWSL, and then she went over to Women's Super League and did the same thing, right? She scored 20 goals last year in the season. But in terms of top players and top people to watch, obviously Sam Kerr at Chelsea and I mean any of these players, but some other names that might stick out to people with Arsenal is Vivian Miedema. She was the number 2 goal scorer last year in the Super League. She had 14 goals. So behind Kerr's 20, 14 was the next biggest one. That just goes to show you how much of a goal scorer Kerr is. But Miedema, 14 goals on the season. She was also tied in the league for assists at 8. She was tied with Beth Mead in that one as well. Mead also at Arsenal, who a lot of people might know as an English international. But Miedema, another incredible player with Arsenal to watch. And remember, Chelsea and Arsenal are basically the top front runners for this Women's Super League. They're coming off 56 and 55 points of the year, like just really incredible, a tight, close race. But because we're coming off of a summer of a lot of football, lots of different soccer to watch, and the Euros where England hosts, they went on an incredible run. There's a lot of familiar names, right, Sandra? We talked about this, how a lot of people tuned in to the Euros, and if you're watching the Super League, there's going to be a lot of familiar faces.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are still a little hungover from the summer of soccer, quite frankly. July was a massive, massive time for football across the globe, quite frankly. We got to see so many amazing performances. Probably one of the biggest storylines coming out of July was the fact that England's women's national team went on to win the Euros. And you can find a number, in fact, several of the 2022 Euro champions across several teams in Women's Super League. So Lisa already mentioned Beth Mead, who had not just a really good season with club last season, but an amazing campaign in the Euros with England. But there's also Lauren Hemp with Man City, Alicia Russo with Man United. You've got Bethany England with Chelsea, Leah Galton with Man United, Georgia Stanway with Man City, Ella Toone, Man United, Fran Kirby with Chelsea, Hannah Blundell with Man United. So you can find so many of these players across different squads, quite frankly, and continue to, watch them and their performances, not just for, the Lionesses, but for club as well. So it's a level of familiarity again there if you were watching the July Euros. But honestly, if for whatever reason you were busy at the beach or had an active summer and didn't watch the Euros,
We're not blaming you. We're not blaming you.
Yeah, no. If anything, I'm like, yes, sign me up. But if you were unfamiliar with that, just know that these are a number of players representing England, English women's national team. You could check out in Women's Super League as well.